All right, friends. So we're here for another video, one video day in the first 100 days of 2025. You know what that means? Um, I'm going to jump right into the topic. I actually want this one to be informative for you, and I can guarantee that I'm going to talk about someone you don't know. So what I'm actually going to do, so behind me is my home study. Um, Maybe I can span it out. You guys can see I've got an entire wall full. I've got close to, I think it's over 30, not 3,500. It used to be 3,500. I think it's between 3,000, 3,500. Fun fact, I just found an app that can actually help me inventory them. But nonetheless, one of my favorite things to do, if there was a fire, this is the shelf that I would come in and save. It's the one that when I think about all of the books, that's the one that this one is on these shelves, the ones that mean the most to me. And so, what I'm going to break down to you today, a lot of people know me for I love to collect old school creative finance real estate books. And so, a lot of people know me for that. It is a hobby that I have, it's something I enjoy studying. So, I'm going to give you over 10 thought leaders that are from the old school real estate world. Let's get jumping into them. I'm going to show you some of these books. We're going to go from there. I'm going to start off with a pretty simple one. A lot of you guys have heard me refer this book. He is still alive. He's one of my top 3 mentors. His name is John Schaub. So I tie John into this old school, you know, crowd. Obviously, he's been investing since the 70s. This is the book of his that I always recommend. It's the Building Wealth One House at a Time. This is the 3rd edition. He has this is I think the 1st edition. So Building Wealth One House at a Time. Most people, I also have 2 other books from him on building wealth, buying foreclosures, and then building real estate wealth in a changing market. So it's all by John. Most people will have known these, right? I talk about them all the time that Building Wealth One House at a Time is my favorite book to recommend. I actually recently learned, so this is a fun tip for some of you who know John. I recently learned that John actually had a book. This one is no longer in print. It's called Buying Right, How to Get More for Your Money. And I'm actually excited. I learned about this when I interviewed John for my podcast. I was at his house in Sarasota and we just got talking. I asked him, what led him to write the book, Building Wealth One House at a Time, all this stuff. And he actually ended up telling me about this book. He said it's no longer in print. It's hard to find. Well, John, I took some time, found it. And so I'm actually looking forward to, one, having this in my library and eventually reading it. Fun story with John is years ago, I actually found a book that he co-wrote with someone else, and it's now out of print as well. And so that is this one. It's called How to Buy and Hold, How to Buy, Hold, and Pyramid Houses for Investment. This is the 2nd edition revised with John Schaub and Jack Miller. And so if you actually look here, when I pulled this book out at every April, at least for now, and Lord willing, it'll keep going, but at some point it's gonna stop. John, him and Pete Fortunato, they're both very influential in my life. They do a class together, and I actually brought this book. And when I pulled it out, John fell over laughing. One, because of this picture from him from the 70s in the back. But this is just not a book that, is commonly around. And he actually signed it for me. I'm not big on getting people's signatures, but I said, John, I want something in my library. So John Schaub, his books are fantastic. He's a great thought leader. He is starting to wean out. So wean out of the education space. He's been in it since the 70s. So the class he does with Pete Fortunato, he's doing it this April 25, 2025 in Tampa. Don't know how much longer that's going to keep going for. But then he only speaks on one other stage throughout the year. It's with Gary Johnston at Masters in Real Estate in Vegas. So not sure, he's not hosting that. He's just, participating and speaking. He has a monthly newsletter, or now it's been bi-monthly, that he just now said that he's starting to change that. So he did that newsletter forever. So I get, I pay and get that subscription of his newsletter. So we'll see, so he is someone currently in, but I start to see the signs of him getting out. So I already brought up the second name, Jack Miller. Apart from this book, Q&A on how to buy, hold, and pyramid houses for investment with Jack Miller. Jack taught a lot with John Schaub, and I never met Jack personally. He died in 2009, but Jack's a huge mentor of mine, even just by proxy. I mean, John influenced me, Peter Fortunato influenced me, other folks have influenced me, but a lot of his stuff, that is the only physical book I have of him. From Jack, I own almost all of his newsletters for the Commonwealth of Newsletters. He started writing those in October of 1978. He wrote one every month until sometime in 2009, right before he died. And I have almost every single one of them, currently reading through them. So like a 4 to 6 page newsletter every single month, of every single year from 1978 until then. I'm in the 80s now. Man, is that wild to read. If you're ever interested, you can go to cashflowdepot.com. My friends own that. You just pay a small lifetime fee to get access. But on Cashflow Depot, Jack has a lot of video seminars that were recorded and put on there, as well as ebooks, like PDF books that you can print. But his newsletters are on there as well. So I have a lot of that in my office where I have all those binders. Some of those are actually from Jack's teachings from places like Cashflow Depot. So this is the only other book I have. This one is after Jack passed in 2009. There was a seminar held in his honor, and it was called Miller Time Reunion Seminar. It was in Tampa, and they had, I think, 15 different speakers who all spoke about things that Jack taught them. So I appreciate having stuff like this. Again, I never got to meet Jack, but I'm highly influenced by him. All right, let's talk about another one. So similar to that crowd, there's going to be some people I'm not going to be showing you books of because they're not, they never wrote a book. They may have manuals for workshops, like that's from a workshop, right? So you've got Peter Fortunato. All the things that I have from him are going to be manuals from his classes. Peter Fortunato is still actively teaching. He is my #1 influence. And so I go down to Tampa, Florida, still see him. He still teaches 2 classes a year, once in June and then once in December. But he will speak on other people's stages from time to time as well. You can catch the podcast that I did with him. I did a podcast with John Schaub as well. Those are great. Peter, he's got the manuals, which are usually a 300 to 400 page binder. Those are in the office. And literally his workshops are like case study after case study for 2 whole days. So he is a great one, but unfortunately, I'm not showing you a book, right? Those are just the big binders. So some of these, for example, Pete has told me about. So this is one that I learned, someone else mentioned this book. And it's one that I love to reference. It's by a guy named James Misko. So James Misko, he had a CCIM designation, so commercial real estate, and it's how to finance. So let me actually say this. It was originally called Creative Financing of Real Estate by James A. Misko. This is like a bigger, this is like a normal size book, so it's a bigger book. This one is harder to find. This is the older print. This is from this is the 3rd print from 1982. So you've got this one, but this is the same one. It's how to finance any real estate, any place, anytime. And this one, I think this is the 1994 version. There's a new version of this, same name, just a little bit more modern. You can get on like eBay. James Misko, I really enjoyed this one. It's a case study. Actually, I do have where Again, these can be hard, a little bit harder to find. The older versions, the newer version, I don't have an actual copy of that one. That one's easier to find. So I'm gonna keep rolling along here. All right, another thought leader here is Jimmy Napier. Jimmy Napier, he, I know where he lived, but I never got to meet him. He lived in the panhandle of Florida in Chipley, Florida. And one time I stopped there just because on my drive down to Tampa to go see Pete one time, I saw that exit and I took it right outside of Panama City. And I took it and I think I stopped and got gas there or something. But it was just one of those moments where I was like, this is a guy who I've heard so much about. And this was a town that he did a ton of real estate in. And I just was passing through. And so I stopped and kind of just took a moment to just appreciate that. But Jimmy Napier, again, never got to meet him. He was a guy that was really great with on the math side. So if you like notes, things like that. So he has this book. This is his most well-known book, or I think this might be his only book. But Jimmy Napier, Invest in Debt. It's the how-to book on buying paper for paper notes, mortgages, right? This book, Amazon, eBay is gonna be like 50+ bucks. Go to Gary Johnston with the T.com, and you can get for 25 bucks. Gary actually has other stuff by Jimmy. So I bought just about I think everything that Gary had on Jimmy. So I have that over there in my office where it's like video recordings of Jimmy teaching. And I also have Jimmy's newsletters, which he wrote on a monthly basis for a period of years. So I have those as well. Again, I never got to meet Jimmy, but he's influenced a lot of, and he taught with a lot of these other guys. And I really, really enjoyed the stuff I've heard from him. Let me go to another one. I have suggested this one for you guys before. So this is a guy, Barney Zick was his name. Let me see his face there. This book, it's called The Negotiating Paradox, How You Can Get More by Giving More. And again, Barney Zick is his name, but you can see Bernard Hale Zick on here. This is a negotiating book. I actually have some audio, video type recording stuff with him on creative financing. So more like CD seminars, like seminars that are saved on a CD. He has a book that I've been searching for called The Paper Millionaire. So I've been looking for The Paper Millionaire. I haven't found it yet. It's out of my grasp. I've been watching for it. So if any of you guys have one that you'd like to sell or you'd like to trade for, I'm open to it. But Barney Zick here, he was another guy similar to Napier, big into notes and stuff like that. Let me go into one. This is a guy, apparently, I've only heard rumors of this, right? So basically, I'm a student of old school real estate, and especially on the creative finance side. Apparently, there were some seminars that were done, especially in Vegas, some really big ones. And there was a guy who ran them, my understanding, A.D. Kessler ran them, and there was a big creative real estate expo. So what I have is one of their magazines. And so this is the Creative Real Estate. This is volume 10, number 4, April of 1981. It was $3.25 an issue. So they had the expo from 1980. But this magazine, so you had A.D. Kessler, he wrote on the inside, like a column, but they had, for example, in here, they had articles. So Barney Zick is right in here. So he wrote about fMRR and the pace of learning. So I've gone through and I've read through here. Let's see, who else do they have? This is gonna be a guy I'm gonna tell you about in a second. I just told you about this guy, Jack Miller, and Pete actually confirmed that that's not actually Jack's photo. But you had, a few other guys. There's 2 of them I'm about to tell you about here. But I believe John Schaub had one in here. So you had some of these guys I mentioned actually wrote, columns in here. So let me actually tell you about 2 of the guys that are in here. But this was actually cool. So just articles on different things, right? This is the only copy of this magazine that I have. I keep an eye out for it, but it's been cool. So it's not really a book, but A.D. Kessler, he had, I do believe he has some books. I've been looking out for those, but he has this magazine that he did, but it was tied to, and I believe it was tied to, he also had the big expo, the Creative Real Estate Expo. So one of the people who wrote in there was Charles Chatham. So in the old school real estate investing world, there is this thing called exchanging. Exchanging. Most of you have only ever heard the word 1031 exchange. That is a very watered down, think Timu. Like it is a very basic version of this. Exchanging is more so going to be where money is not the only currency. There's usually multiple legs to the deal, multiple parties to the deal. If you want, I have a podcast episode with Philip Klink on it, where he does basically exchanging 101. And anyway, so some of these books are about exchanging. So this one is a book. It's the secrets of a lucrative real estate career. By Charles Chatham with SEC, so Society of Exchange Counselors, the Chatham Method of Professional Client Representation through Single Agency, and illustrating the counseling method taught and practiced throughout the nation. This is volume number 1 that he has on it. But the concept with this book, or not with this book, specifically with exchanging, was there were people who were licensed real estate agents who basically all they focused on was the creative real estate side. And so that's one of the things I actually enjoy is that part of the history. It is very rare today. Most real estate agents, I mean, this morning I went to pickleball and I was having a conversation with an agent on my way in, and he was like, man, I want to learn this world so I can help my clients more. And I'm like, man, you want to learn this world so you can help your clients more, so that you can also learn how to be a principal in transactions at times rather than just agency, but that you can actually see the moving pieces. And exchanging is a really, really profound old school method that is very rarely practiced. So I love having stuff on exchanging. So this is Charles Chatham. Okay, so the secrets of a lucrative real estate career. There was, hold on, I have this one, which is the basic steps in real estate exchanging by R. Royce Ringsdorf, a text for the real estate licensee on how to make real estate exchanges on purpose. It says other books tell you why, this book tells you how. Gotta love it. Let me see. I didn't tell you this for the other one. So Chatham's book, let's see. Chatham's book is from 1982. Let's see. This one, Royce's book, this one. By the way, it's signed. A few of these are signed. 1974. So this one, this is one that I have here. I did not know him very well, but this was a book that was on my radar, The Basic Steps in Real Estate Exchanging. Again, this was this was a whole culture in the creative real estate world back in the day. So one of the guys, you could argue that he was a bit of a godfather within that world, was a guy named Warren Harding. Not the old precedent name, but Warren Harding. So you have, this is one of his books. I have 4 of his books. It's The Trade Secrets of Exchanging and Real Estate Ownership. This book, so this is by Warren G. Harding, SEC, so Society of Exchange Counselors, and CCIM. So he has that. He, by the way, fun fact, he signed almost everything that he wrote, is my understanding. And this book was written 1975. By the way, John Schaub, Jack Miller, Warren Harding, Pete Fortunato, all Sarasota, Tampa area. There's very deep roots in that area. But this one is you got this book here that I have by Warren Harding. This one, which is $1 Million Method for Survival in Real Estate, by Warren G. Harding. And this one, so there is you know how people do like they have like reviews. Sorry, reviews. It says, Jack Miller, you showed me the way to build wealth for my clients and myself. For those seeking personal and professional growth, it is a must. Please add my name to the legion of Harding graduates who share my enthusiasm endorsing your course and your book. Wow. Jack Miller, Tampa, Florida. Then you had inspiring, no nonsense, good sense for the investor and professor exchanger alike, John Schaub, Sarasota. So let's see, this one was written in 1980, $1 Million Method for Survival in Real Estate. And so then these are some of his workbooks. Again, he liked to sign them. Trade Secrets of Exchanging, a Reno Foundation seminar. Remember that? And this is a workbook. When I say workbook, again, you got a normal book. So this is bigger. Literally, it's a workbook. So think textbook workbook, right? One of my favorite things he has in here is a drawing. I think it's in this one. It might be in the other. Nope, it's in this one. So it is basically defeating the dragon, which is the IRS. And the knight is the 1031 exchange. Again, the version of a 1031 is 1031 is very watered down today. Back then it was very robust. So you've got this picture of the IRS as the dragon, and then you've got this knight with 1031 and exchanging. These are, like, if you look here, no, I don't think I'm gonna pull from one of these, but okay, so you have right here equity balance sheet, property, and Abel has a rental house. The market value is 20,000, right? This is from the 70s or the 80s, something like that. Anyway, the loan is 8,000. So $20,000 is the market value. 8,000 is a loan. So his equity is 12,000. Cash gives 1,500. And then you have paper. You got, you've got commissions is 1,200. Transaction cost is 400. So net equity is 11,900. New loan is 15,000. Old loan 8,000. Net proceeds is 7. Like, basically it goes through some different scenarios here. Down here says, inventory each vehicle. Number 2, refinance the maximum new loans. 3, balance equities with new loans. 4, balance papers. 5, like it's talking through that. Exchanging is using a lot of other things. I just dropped a podcast with a new school investor, but with learning from these old school methods, Joey Long, and it was talking about how creative finance is Pandora's box. And he talked about how he used a car as a down payment for not just one, but 2 properties. So this is Warren Harding. This one, I have another one of his workbooks. This one's a little bit thicker. Same thing in the front. You got the IRS one. Love it. But you can kind of see here, they're a little bit older. So this is he had what was called the Academy of Real Estate. Okay. But if you saw over there a Reno Foundation seminar, that's my next guy I'm gonna tell you about. You got Richard Reno. So this is Profitable Real Estate Exchanging by Richard Reno. Shows you how to make money in this lucrative, fast-growing field. Shows you how to exchange private homes, acreage, duplexes, journal stores. It goes through a whole list. And for example, in the back, here are 22 fact-filled chapters that show how exchanging will increase your business volume and income. Number 1, how exchanging fits in today's economy and tax setup. The trade-in plan, broker guarantees, the sale of an old home, possible accomplishments are numerous. Number 2, 10 reasons why every office should exchange. Real estate office, right? And then you have number 3, how to use exchanging as a tool in creative selling. Reverse selling, exchanging rule number 1, the run-on qualities of an exchange, example of an exchange where no buyer was available. exchanging is Pandora's box. This is a very commonly untapped into part of most, especially what I call newer school creative investors, only deal in the world of things like subject to seller finance, maybe lease options, maybe land contracts, but that's kind of it. Master leases, right? Lot more to it. Let me do one more. Number 4, developing the prerequisites of an exchange. What do you need to do and B to be an exchanger? 8 do's and don'ts for an exchanger. Number 5, mastering the strategy and tactics. These are by the way, chapters. Mastering the strategy and tactics of exchanging. Analyze the client's problem. Money is not so important. Your selling methods differ. The importance difference between horse trading and exchanging. Fun fact, interesting. So let's see. Again, these are older, so I'm trying to be gentle with them. This one is from 1956. Richard Reno. All right, starting to get to the end here. Now, these are going to be maybe not like they are going to have some level of creative finance, but they are still a little bit older school. Let me go to just these. All right, this is one of a developer who is pretty well known. This is an autobiography. This one is not an older book; it's a reprint. I don't know when the original was written. Let's see. But it's a 1970 was when it was but they've got new print. So this is called Zeckendorf. Okay. The autobiography of the man who played a real life game of Monopoly and won the largest real estate empire of history. This book came suggested to me by Peter Fortunato. And it's, again, I believe he was a developer that did things. And so I don't have a full context of him. Full disclosure, I haven't fully read all of these. There's a lot of these, like this one I never opened and cracked open, but just wanted to share it. So this other one is one that I love, and I'll be very honest, is probably one of the harder ones to find. And it is called, the book, it's the Philosophy of Real Estate. I don't have the dust jacket. The Philosophy of Real Estate by Charles Chuck Considine. So this is I actually dabbed a first edition on this. By the way, he made it to Richard R. Reno, Grand Old Man of American Real Estate. This first edition was in 1977, and the chapter names: The Philosophy of Real Estate. Own real estate to be wealthy. What yield should one get? Should one borrow money? When should one buy or sell? Should one take options on real property? Tax shelter. By the way, he was a tax guy. I don't have the dust jacket for this one. The fact that I found this alone was a big deal. I did find this one most recently. It looks like a recent print of it, but from 1951 by Charles Ray Considine. It is an outline of business management. Found this one recently. I just grabbed it because I really respect Chuck. He, again, was one of those old school. He was in the group with the old school exchangers. Fun fact on the old school exchangers, I did find this online. If you look, it's like a pin, and it says it's free. Florida Real Estate Exchangers. I've actually been to the Florida Real Estate Exchangers meeting. It still runs over in Sarasota, and I actually found this old school pin. Keep it on my desk just to remind me. Am I going to wear the pin? No, it's meant to remind me to really act like an exchanger whenever I approach deals. All right, let me start to wind these down. I just have 3 more people to introduce you to. All right, this one, questions and answers on real estate. This one is Robert Semenow. There is many editions of it. So this is the 4th edition. So obviously, grab an edition. You can easily find this one on eBay. Literally, he just goes through like, I want to say questions and answers. Originally, it was published in 1948. Like, for example, this chapter is a question on deeds. Question number 120. Question: An electric light company has the right to erect its poles and run its lines along the rear 5 feet of the lot. What sort of property right is this? Answer: an easement. Now, let's be clear. Anytime someone writes on laws, so laws and tax stuff, understand, or like loans and things along those lines, know that that stuff may change over time, but there's still some gold in here. So Questions and Answers on Real Estate by Robert Semenow. Literally, it's just a book. So the questions on mortgages, transfer of title to real estate, constitutionality of license law. Interesting. Questions on agreements of sales. Transfer. Yeah, read that one. All right, let me actually take this one out of the bag. I didn't take it out of the bag before. Some of these I do try to protect because they are older, and this one is another first edition. I think this is a good book for anyone to really read. It's How I Turned $1,000 into $1 million in Real Estate in My Spare Time by William Nickerson. Talk about a YouTube title there. Here is a unique book on investing and reinvesting in real estate that may change your life. In terms simple and clear enough for the novice, detailed enough for the professional realtor, it tells you how to take a modest nest egg and pyramid it to over $1 million in 20 years. Your risks are negligible. Your chances of success are enormous. The fact that in fact, they are 1,600 times better than if you start in any other business. See chapter 3 for a full explanation. Unbelievable? Start reading and see. This book shows how, with the average ability, average savings, and average luck, you can become a millionaire. Let's see. This is the first edition, you can tell. Let's see. 1959. And so these books, I have another one of this. This is what a newer version of this one looks. You can see How I Turned 1,000. Now this one, same guy, William Nickerson, but then he said 5 million here. And then this one is 1980. So the changed version I'll go in here. So last guy I'm gonna show you. I think this is a good one. Again, talking about the power of real estate and sharing. Dave Glubetich, I'm probably saying his last name wrong, is this guy. So he has this book. It's called How to Grow a Money Tree, the magical book on making big money with second mortgages. Again, if you're a note buyer, stuff like that. He was also, look, Dave Glubetich. I'm probably saying that. I'm just gonna keep calling him Dave. Realtor. The magical book of making big money with second mortgages. Fun fact, back in the day, plenty of realtors used to take their commissions in a second promissory note mortgage to the property. 1977. This guy was introduced to me by Peter Fortunato. So How to Grow a Money Tree. He has this book. It's called the Monopoly Game. So this is the 4th edition. The How-To Book of Making Big Money with Rental Homes by Dave. I love how he says Dave, and then he puts underneath there realtor. The first printing of this from 1975. The Monopoly Game. And then this is the other book I have by him, is Double Your Money in Real Estate Every 2 Years by Dave Glubetich. Maybe this was before he was a realtor, because all of them said realtor underneath. This book is from 1980. Okay, so newer. You can see. Well, look, I hope you guys enjoy this. So many times you guys asked me to go through my library. I could honestly keep going. This is an entire shelf. I stopped. I really wanted to pull some of the best ones out. So these were some fantastic thought leaders, fantastic, really specifically, I pulled people who were more in the creative side of the world of real estate. Some of these are just old school real estate stuff. But this, I really tried to pull from the more creative, maybe with a little, like, so for example, either Nickerson or Semenow. Those may be less creative, but just wanted to throw them in there as well. So let me know, which one of these piqued your interest in the most? Put that in the comment below. If you've read any of these, put that in the comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And then to my friends who are fellow collectors like myself, I am actively looking for a dust jacket for philosophy and real estate, as well as Paper Millionaire by Barney Zick. A few others that are on my radar, but just putting that out into the universe, you guys. Look, one video a day. This was a little bit more in depth, but one video a day for 100 days in 2025. And tell me if you like this. Like, this was a little bit different than giving you some actual, like, it was more so talking to you about these thought leaders. And hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts. You guys have a good one. Make sure to subscribe. Chat with you more tomorrow.